One big question I'm always asked by young people,
Okay.
people younger than
Uh-huh.
than me. Film school, is it worth doing?
So that's a loaded question.
Is film school worth it? They always ask, is film school worth it? And I always try to bring it back to, was film school worth it for me? So my question to you is, was film school worth it for you?
I think so. I think that the
He says with hesitation in his voice.
well, it's a loaded question because I feel like film school was worth it because of everything that I learned in storytelling.
Sure.
And I feel like that what I learned as a storyteller transcends just doing films. Like I feel like there are many different fields that I can tell stories in because I know how to do that. Because the art of storytelling and the proper, kind of hero's journey and motifs and just all of that stuff that we learned that was drilled into us, I feel like has helped me immensely in storytelling in general.
So storytelling, you feel like film school taught you a lot about storytelling.
Yeah, and so that's why I say it's a loaded question because
Sure.
it all depends on. So like, yes, it was valuable to me because that's what I wanted to do.
Just tell stories.
Yeah, it's like that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to write, and I wanted to direct, and that has evolved over time
Sure.
and such as with what we're doing here. But right at that point, that's what I wanted. That's all I wanted to do. It's okay.
Okay.
You can be in my shot.
I didn't want to be in your shot.
So from that aspect, yes, it was valuable to me. And that's why, so it depends on who's asking, I mean,
Well, so take the premise that a child,
a child, like a
child.
2-year-old.
I'm going to call him a child.
Okay.
An 18-year-old.
Like a high schooler.
Yeah, an 18-year-old coming out of high school,
Yeah.
going into college, deciding whether or not to go to engineering school like myself
Mm-hmm.
or become a filmmaker and go pursue the art of filmmaking.
Right.
And they know that a degree path is something they want to do. If take that type of person and they ask you, is film school worth going to? See, for me,
I would say that it depends on what you want to do.
Yeah, so
It all depends on what you want to do.
So for me, when someone who's 18 who asks me that question and they're debating whether or not to go to four-year university, or they're also thinking about film school
Yeah.
outside of a four-year university or maybe at a four-year university, I always tell them not to go.
To film school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not because I don't think film school is valuable. So that's why I asked the question, is it valuable to you? Because it was totally valuable to me.
Right.
The reason I went to film school was because I was running a wedding video production company. I was just shooting weddings after
Right.
high school. I started my own business, and I started doing that, and I was getting really burnt out with the wedding thing, and I really wanted to meet new people, and I really wanted to expand my horizons, and so that's what drew me to the film school that we ultimately went to. I saw the opportunity I actually sat in one of your guys' class, because I started like a week late or something.
Yeah.
And I sat in on one of your classes where you guys were critiquing Wall-E, and I was like, this is crazy, like what's being talked about, and the professor who was sitting there with you all guiding you through story, and I was like really intrigued because I wanted to learn, what makes a story a story. I knew I liked films, and I knew I liked how films were presented. I didn't know the actual science behind it, and there is a certain science and structure behind it.
Yeah, totally.
And the film school we went to taught us the hero's journey.
Right.
So, like, for someone who says, is it worth it? I'm like, it's not worth it unless you want to go. unless this is your calling, unless this is something you want to do.
Yeah, and unless
If you want to be an accountant, no offense to accountants, but math is your game. You love numbers. You love sitting there grounding and pounding. But then you also have had this idea of, but making movies, that looks cool too.
Right.
They're on such different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
From a creative standpoint, from
Right.
where your mind is activated and such. And I might be totally wrong on that. I don't know the physiology of the brain.
Sure.
But what I'm saying is, like, it just seems like someone who's way into math and someone who's way into being creative are on two different ends of the spectrum. I mean, I was very good at math, and I wanted to be an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was going to college for, because
Yeah.
everyone was telling me I had to go to college. But then I made a film with my friends, and that lit something in me where I was like, this is really fun.
Yeah.
And this could be a career. So I pursued that a little bit further in my senior year of high school, and I got an idea of like, oh, this is something that I want to do. So then from that's what ultimately set me on my journey to film school. I ran my own video production company. I had experience with making video content, editing video content, putting stuff together,
Yeah.
trying to shape a story, and I wanted more. So that drive was there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so my thing is like, if you're a person coming out of high school and you've never once touched film, you've never interacted with film, and you just think it might be cool,
Make some films first.
make some films first. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely, and figure out if this is something you want to do,
Yeah.
and yeah, hold off on going to a four-year university because it can be expensive.
Yeah, well, and I think that's one of the major things that I have told people is like, okay, well, it's not that you don't necessarily want it,
Right.
but with the way that school is set up now, and with how expensive it is,
Right.
I'm like, I mean, unless your parents are hounding, and even if your parents are hounding you, like, they're hounding you to spend their money. Like, what,
Well, I mean,
it's,
some kids have college funds.
Sure. If you have a scholarship or something and it's going to run out, like, unless you use it,
Right.
that's a different circumstance. Like,
So yeah, but then it's not though, because why?
why waste the time?
Yeah, film school. From my experience and from your experience, because we went to the same school together, film school is what you make it. And if you're going to go there just for what do you got to lose, I don't know, get a better degree. Because a film
Yeah.
degree, I mean, come on, like
Yeah.
a BFA in film,
Yeah.
it's like unless you're at a super accredited school, which there are very few, in my opinion, that you can legitimately look to and say, their accreditation standards really do put out the best filmmakers in the industry.
Yeah, or like I'm going to get a job right out of college or something.
Yeah, right. And that's something to look at too. Look at the internship opportunities. If they haven't had and all schools are going to lie to you. You said earlier what school has become. It's become for profit for everybody.
Yep.
They're going to do everything they can to get you in the seat. To be honest, I shouldn't have gotten into our film school. Like, the body
You
of
don't
work.
think so?
I don't know. I guess maybe, but the body of work I submitted, I thought was really good.
Yeah.
Dude, it's a joke. Like,
Yeah.
there are so many more skilled and talented YouTubers today
Yeah.
creating content
Yeah.
every day.
Right.
That was better than my entire
That
body
you don't
of
need
work.
storytelling or anything. You just need to be charismatic and have a camera.
It's not just that. You can just let your natural ability flow.
Well, yeah, I think that's what charisma is.
Well, okay. All right. But like, yeah, I felt like, okay, they wanted me because they needed me. They needed to get their numbers up.
Oh, okay.
They wanted my tuition. And that's why they said, yeah, I think anyone could have gotten into our school. And I say that with a heavy heart because I do feel like what I learned at that school was very valuable. I feel like I was given a gift to go to that school because of exactly what you said. It taught me a lot from story.
Yeah.
Taught me a lot, not so much in the technical realm. That was more like a sandbox. Like, they were like, create your movies, and we're going to critique them, and we're going to tell you why they're bad, and it's up to you to fix them. That was really cool.
Yeah, we learned a little bit of technical, but we learned a lot more
On
like
story.
guerrilla style.
For sure. Like, okay, how do you use
Yeah.
DV tapes to make it look like film with lens adapters?
Right.
And our school didn't have lights. So how do you make something cinematic.
We
without
had one light kit
lights.
that everyone shared.
But we didn't have it when we started.
That's true.
We
got it later.
Yeah, it came in like our second semester or something, and we thought that was amazing.
It was like a big deal. We all opened it together.
And then it got stolen because someone left it in their car unlocked. That was hilarious. Anyway, but
it got found on eBay.
But that was the cool nature of that school. Was
Yeah.
we were a very small class and we were very focused on story.
It was 10 students.
And I value that education for the sole fact that coming out into the world and working with professionals, I was able to assimilate very quickly.
Yeah.
We did learn really good set protocol, so
Yeah,
I was able to
we did.
step onto professional sets and know what my role was and what
Yep.
I was supposed to do. So I did appreciate that. But then sitting in creative meetings now with customers, I'm able to clearly articulate why an idea is a good idea or a bad idea.
Sure.
And I think I wouldn't have been able to do that without some sort of foundation that I feel that film school did give me. So
At least the one that we went to.
at least the one we went to.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was really valuable for me.
Right.
So I feel like anyone who's considering film school
Yeah.
as the next step in their career after high school should really have a clear definition of what is it you want to achieve in the film industry.
Right.
Do you just want to be an editor? Do you want to do animation?
Yeah.
Do you want to be a director? And it's okay to come out of high school and it seems pompous and arrogant, but to come out and be like, I want to be a cinematographer or
Right.
I want to be a director.
It's
like,
fine.
It's great.
You have to speak it into existence.
Exactly.
You know?
And have that clear vision and take the steps to do that.
Right.
And so like when people are like, oh, well, one day I hope to be a cinematographer. It's like, well, do you shoot stuff? Like I always try to check people. I'm always like, do you shoot stuff? Yeah, all the time. It's like, then you're a cinematographer. You're not Roger Deakins, but you are a cinematographer.
Right.
Start referring to yourself as that and start becoming that.
Right.
But then that goes down to the pipeline of, do you need film school?
Yeah. And I think that's where I say, like I said earlier, it's a loaded question because it all kind of boils down to like, what do you want to do?
Sure.
Where is there a film school that offers that specialty?
Are they qualified?
Are they qualified? If it's a trade specialty, is their output pretty high?
Or
you know?
is the opportunity after you're done worth it?
Yeah, right.
Essentially, you got to look at, am I going to be paying them a ridiculous amount of money, to leave with a certificate in hand and then not be employable?
Right.
You got to look at what are my employment opportunities after this, because that's one of the biggest problems with our film school is the job placement that we, at least our class, experienced was none.
Well, so the only reason that I'm okay with that is because that's not what that school was sold to me as.
Exactly.
Like,
I got what I needed out of it.
yeah, if
Right.
they sold me that school as like the job placement here is bonkers, like you will have a job, I would be super mad. I would be asking for my money back.
Yep.
But
they
that's
wouldn't
not
be.
what they told me it was. It was a school in which to hone the craft of storytelling, and that's exactly what I got out
Yeah,
of it. And I've been
right.
able to use that to start this company. I've been able to use that to pursue other writing ventures. Overall, I would not be as skilled of a storyteller today if I hadn't had that experience.
Right.
Now, if that's where I'm like, I always start with the question, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Because if somebody wants to be a writer, would I say necessarily go to film school? I don't know.
Yeah,
I might say
Take some
might
writing classes.
take some writing classes.
And explore writing as it pertains to
right
film
now
and storytelling.
Right. Or
So-
do you want to be like you said, like, do you want to be, some people just want to be not even a cinematographer, they want to be a camera tech.
So to talk on that a little bit,
Yeah.
if someone, let's reverse 30 years.
Okay.
Do I need to go to film school? Yes. Right?
Well, yeah,
why?
because
you don't know how to load film.
Right. You don't know how to load film. You don't even have the access to load film.
Right. And what is film school going to give you? That. They're going to
Yep.
teach you everything.
Yep. Even when we went, I would say that was still sort of the case.
That
like
was the dream that the old guys were clinging on to.
yeah, because it was like you couldn't do it anywhere else. However,
we weren't taught film at film school.
No.
We were not. In fact, we were taught supplementary technologies, or we were taught technologies to supplement film,
Right.
and we weren't taught it correctly.
But so that's where I was like, that's the only thing that I was like, I feel like the pulse wasn't on the world at our film school.
But I don't think it was just ours.
No,
I think in general.
It was in general, because
Right.
it was like, okay, so you had these new tech
Right.
that people were trying to break into,
Right.
but they were still holding on to the old world way of film school. Like, well, you have to come here to use the equipment because otherwise you don't have access to it.
Right.
But the equipment they were showing us, it was like, who didn't have their pulse on YouTube at that time?
It was
like,
really
who
interesting.
wasn't watching the stuff that people were bootstrapping?
To be fair, YouTube was only like 2 years old.
Yeah,
when we
but
went to
there
film
were
school.
people making content. I mean, the girls who made Broad City
Right.
were putting out episodes in 2009.
To talk about that, our school had 2 requirements. Well, they had a couple more, but 2 main requirements to be a student at their school was you had to come with a MacBook Pro with Final Cut Pro
And you had to-
loaded onto your laptop.
Yeah, and you had to have a camera.
And you had to have a camera, your own camera.
Yeah,
That right there is enough for a film school.
right.
To not that's enough for anyone who wants to explore the world of film to get started by not paying someone more money in
Right.
tuition dollars
Right.
to learn the art of film.
Well,
and that's the argument today. It's like, do you really need film school? Maybe, probably no.
you could save a lot of
better
money.
yet, save your money. Don't save your money. You want to spend it, or what you said. If your parents are just yearning for you to burn their money, get them to buy you a dope camera.
Yeah,
And use
and
it
and a computer.
and use it to make films.
Right,
Become a filmmaker.
right. Well, and that's what Quentin Tarantino says. He's like, I didn't go to film school. I went to film.
And that is probably one of the things where I do look back and say I am regretful for going to film school on is I knew of the community here in Grand Rapids.
Sure.
Before I went to film school, I thought I had to go to film school to get access to that community.
Oh.
And when I became a professional and started working in the industry, I found out that community was so inviting that anyone could literally show up to the largest production company's front door in our town, the only company in our town at that time that had a Red One that could shoot 4K digital. They had RE Master Primes.
Yeah.
And they could say, hi, my name is so-and-so. I don't know anything about film.
Right.
But I want to learn.
Right.
And those guys over there were all, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Let us help you.
Right. Well, and
And when I found that out, I was like, why did I pay a school to give me access to this? If anything, all it did was build a hubris in me, which I learned had to quickly get broken down.
Right.
Because coming out of film school, you're in your echo chamber, you're isolated, you think you're so great. Everyone's like, oh, your films are so cool, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And you leave and you're just like, oh.
My films suck.
Not that just your films suck, because they didn't necessarily suck, but you leave the community that you had of support, and it all goes away.
Yeah.
You had a crew of people who you could make films with. We did, at least for a year and a half.
Right.
And sometimes we felt like it was a hassle because it was homework, and other times we were like, this is so much fun.
Right.
But then when it was gone, you were like, oh, I missed that.
Uh-oh.
You're like, who do I call? Everyone left. Everyone moved away.
Right.
Who do I call to help crew my films? And at times you feel like you're at square zero.
Yeah.
And instead of taking the time to build those relationships and using the money that you would have spent on film school towards
To just
furthering
continue
your career,
making film.
right?
Because that's the number one thing that, like, in any creative field, the number one way you get better is straining your creative muscle.
Right.
It's doing stuff, liking it or disliking it, and then doing more.
Exactly.
And doing more.
And
And
more.
always doing more. Like, create something, put it out, do another one.
Right.
Create something, put it out, do another one.
Right.
Like, just do and do and do. And your first 100 might suck or never even be watched.
You
But
know
that's okay.
And that should be your challenge. What is your first 100? Right.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
what's your first 300?
Right.
Right. Don't stop.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there is a point where people have to become aware of, am I just not cut for this? But I think in the creative field, most people are cut for it because they're called for it, to it.
Yeah, I don't think you would ever willingly jump into this field if you weren't genuinely creative or dedicated to it.
It's true. I mean, I think the allure of the money of this industry is there, but the reality is that is occupied by such a small minority of people who want to get to that level.
Right.
That takes a ton of exercise and a ton of work, and some people are uniquely gifted and come into this industry like all industries, and they just shine. And that's awesome. And I love what they contribute, because what they contribute is the opportunity for us to all learn and push ourselves to their excellence.
Yeah.
And sometimes it seems like they got there easily. Like they got there, what did they have to do? They didn't earn it. Yeah, that's not true. Right? Everyone's gifts and talents are different.
Yep.
Some people have to work harder for things. But focus your energy in the right direction, and you'll get to your goal.
Right.
And is film school the right direction?
I think ultimately, a lot of the times, especially nowadays, I think a lot of the times the answer is no.
So before we wrap up, I want to put a final pin in it.
Okay. Put your pin.
Well, I want your pin and my pin. Is film school worth it to someone?
Is it worth it today?
Is it worth well, you can't go back in time, and we don't know what the future holds. So yes, in today's world, is it worth it for me as a student? And I'm framing this from an 18-year-old's perspective. I'm not framing this from like because we went to school with some 30-year-olds. We went to school with people who were still discovering themselves. We went when we were in our 20s.
Right.
We didn't go right out of high school. And then we did go.
No, I went to CC for 2 years and then took a year off.
And we have not seen necessarily good benefit to our industry from a lot of those kids coming right out of high school, because they don't know, and it's clear for us to see they don't know what they want, like you're saying, what they want out of the program.
Right.
So,
and a lot of these young kids grew up with, YouTube, and that's their frame of reference for content creation.
Film school is not teaching that.
Right, exactly. And
Film
that's
school,
where,
You know what's teaching that? YouTube.
YouTube's
Get on
teaching
YouTube, make your content. People are going to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. They're going to comment. They're not going to comment. They're going to watch it. They're not going to watch it. They're going to share it. They're not going to share it.
Right.
You're going to find out who your audience is by creating your first 100.
Right. So let's see where we're at.
So,
talk 100.
So the question is, the question is film school worth it for a high schooler coming out of high school?
Again, I feel like it's a loaded question, but my initial gut reaction is no.
So Steve gives it a no.
I give it a no with a caveat.
Okay. I'll let you put your caveat.
With just, there is a little more. Anytime somebody asks me that question, I can't give them a yes or a no right away. My initial gut reaction is no, but it always warrants a conversation, figure out what they want to do in the industry, and then the yes or no can be maybe a little more swayed to yes, depending.
Yeah, life is nuanced, and life
and this is a super niche field.
It's very, yes, and nothing is black and white in this industry.
Right.
And no decision in any project is black or white.
Right. I would say that it's like film school, no. Education, yes. If you want to learn a trade skill in film, find a production company and go walk in and
find an internship.
Yeah, find an internship or a work study or something. I mean, people like hungry people. I mean,
and the thing, what you said there is hungry.
Yeah.
So this is this video is going to get too long. I wanted to wrap this up, but you just brought up a good point. The hunger side.
Yeah.
It's one thing to walk in that front door and say, "Hi, my name is so-and-so, and I want to learn how this works." Because most people will welcome you in with open arms.
Yep.
When you get that yes, come on in, we would love to show you what we do here. Don't just sit in a chair and do nothing.
Yeah, make stuff.
Be hungry.
Ask questions.
You know what? Straight up walk up to somebody and be like, "It's a pretty big ask,
right.
but can I borrow your camera to shoot a piece? I want to make a short film."
Yeah.
Keep doing that.
Right.
Do it all the time.
Right.
Show them that
you
want to be a part of the community. You want to be creative. Show the people who control the equipment that you want to do good work with it.
Yeah.
And they're going to want to keep putting it into your hands.
Yeah.
They don't care if they make money. They don't care if they get anything out of the deal. They know that they're pouring into somebody and helping someone be successful. So it's up to that person to keep that hunger alive.
Right.
Don't sit there and say, I got an internship with this great production company. Good for me.
Right.
And then sit there and do nothing.
Right.
Step up, make the content you want to create. And you know what? If you keep getting no, well, maybe it's not the right spot. Move on. There's other opportunity.
Right. There's so much opportunity.
Play that field. Let that be your school. So for me, film school in today's day and age, 18-year-old coming out of high school is a no.
Yeah. So I want to wrap this one up because we're going a little long.
A little bit.
But I
so
think
much to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about as far as the benefits and the cons of going to film school. So I feel like I want to start a segment called "What Film School Didn't Teach Me."
I think it's a great idea.
And
that is a deep hole.
Yeah. So I think there's going to be many more real talks that just focus on what film school didn't teach me.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
So, because I think that's information that I would have loved to have.
Yeah.
So
with that, thanks for watching, everybody. Yeah, if there's something that we didn't talk about in this episode of Real Talk, let us know. Leave us a comment. Send us a personal message. If you have any questions about, something a little bit more nuanced, maybe particular to your walk of life and how film school might apply to you, feel free to message us. We'll be happy to get back to you and just share our 2 cents with you about it.
Yeah.
We ultimately want to see people be successful in this industry and help grow this industry so that more and great content gets created. So, yeah, with that, I'd say have a good one.
See you tomorrow.